Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen of Tennessee is joining us. He's a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Why is it so important, Congressman, and thanks very much for joining us, for House Judiciary Committee staff attorneys to question the Attorney General as opposed to simply letting you guys do it?
Well, we have questions we'd like to ask and that opportunity, but 5 minutes isn't a long enough period of time to really develop answers when the witness can filibuster, and they often do filibuster. Whitaker filibustered the whole time. The committee counsel could have more, and there's precedent for it. When the Whitewater Committee met in the 90s, the Republicans, where the chairman was a Republican, and Chertoff was his counsel, and the Democrat side, Richard Benvenisti, was the counsel. They questioned the witnesses after the members did. So there's ample precedent, and it was established by Republican chairman.
Is it worth potentially losing the opportunity for the House Judiciary Committee to question the Attorney General over this issue?
I think it's important not only for this issue, but also the issue about redacted information that we want to have access to in a SCIF where it's closed to the public and secure. But the fact is, if this Attorney General is chicken to face the House Judiciary Committee, he's not worthy of being the United States Attorney General. He's chicken to face the counsel, and he's afraid of their questioning and their cross-examining. If he's that unsure of himself and unsure of his ability to parry the questions, then he does not deserve to be Attorney General, and it shows how loose of a foundation he had to make the statements he did about the Mueller report.
We're just getting word now that the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, has just submitted his resignation. We were anticipating he would formally resign after the completion of the Mueller report, but let me get your immediate reaction.
Rod Rosenstein made a speech, I believe, this weekend where he said that the Mueller report only showed a small amount of the influence and efforts that Russia had to interfere with our elections. He was obviously affected by and disturbed by what Russia did to interfere with our elections. We should know all about that, and that should be the major import of Barr, and Trump is seeing to it that they don't interfere with the elections. But because Trump is so insecure about his own election victory, where he didn't win the popular vote, that he refuses to let anybody suggest that his presidency is not a legitimate presidency and that the Russians helped him get elected. The fact is they did. The fact is we'll prove it and show it that the social media influence of the Russians had an effect on people. Now, you can't demonstrate that with numbers, but you know it did. Everybody spends money on advertising. Everybody tries to influence public opinion. That type of millions of dollars worth of social media influences people, especially when it's targeted as well as it was.
Will your committee, the Judiciary Committee, Congressman, call on Rod Rosenstein to come before your panel and answer questions?
I think it would be a good idea. Chairman Nadler will make that decision. We certainly want Mr. Mueller. It's important to know what his involvement was, as well as Rosenstein. But Mr. Rosenstein, who I think did a commendable job, except for coming up with the excuse of why Comey was fired, would probably mouth Barr's line.
Well, when he said Comey should be fired, he was blaming Comey's behavior, the former FBI director, on what he did with Hillary Clinton in the final days of the campaign. You were condemning that at the time as well.
I was, but when I did it, and it was the wrong thing to do, and it's just like what Barr did. He went off and spoke a lot about Trump, somebody who wasn't indicted or suggested for indictment, and defended them. He shouldn't have given all the information he did either. Comey did the same thing Barr did, but the fact is, and Comey did make a mistake. I think he influenced the election. He shouldn't have reopened the investigation and announced it. He shouldn't have made the statements he did. Rosenstein was right on that, but he did it for the wrong reasons. He did it to give Trump an excuse, and the real reason Trump fired him was this Russia thing, as he said. He didn't fire, Comey didn't back off of the deal and give Mike Flynn a second chance. So what Rosenstein did was accurate, and that what Comey did was wrong and violative of judiciary policy and FBI policy through the judiciary, the Justice Department, but he gave it for the wrong reasons. And for that reason, Rosenstein is not to be commended. He's to be condemned for doing what Trump wanted him to do, his dirty work to cover up the real reason for firing James Comey.
Well, let's see what happens if he agrees to come before your committee. We'll watch that obviously very closely. Congressman Steve Cohen, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Wolf. Nice to be with you.